What's up, guys? It's your boy Chrysalis here, and if you've watched the last video, did you remember when I said that the next time you see me, I'll just be talking about Paul Thomas Anderson and only Paul Thomas Anderson for like the next 7 days or whatever, starting Sunday? Well, I lied. I decided I'm going to go ahead and cover all of the movies that I watched in the month of September, since I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be seeing any other movies in theaters until I see one battle after another. This honestly shouldn't take too long, since I honestly didn't see a whole lot in theaters this month. Not quite as much as I thought I would, but needless to say, I watched quite a few of them, so yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get the ball rolling now. So to start, I actually want to give a honorable mention to Toy Story. Yep, that's right, Pixar's own Toy Story. They did a 30th anniversary screening of the first Toy Story for, again, its 30th anniversary. Wow, I sound redundant. And I don't think it would be too controversial of a opinion to say that I think the first Toy Story holds up. I think the only thing that really irks me about Toy Story now is like how weird the facial expressions look. But that might be more so the fact that I've been spoiled by more recent Pixar films, as well as a lot of other Pixar films that would come out like in the next like 10, 50 years following Toy Story. I do want to eventually make a overview video about Pixar at some point, but that's like gonna take a while to do, since I need to rewatch all the Pixar movies as well as watch all the ones I haven't seen yet, which isn't that many. But needless to say, Toy Story just still a phenomenal 2 thumbs up animated film, even if it's got its own little quirks here and there that honestly is just a product of the time, really. Okay, so the first movie that I caught in September was Caught Stealing. That would be the Darren Aronofsky film starring Austin Butler, Vincent D'Onofrio, Bad Bunny, and several other actors. Tonic the Cat. Shout out to Tonic the Cat. And I quite enjoyed Caught Stealing. I ended up enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would. And as the film just kind of marinates in my mind since I watched it the one time, Caught Stealing just only ages well, just little by little. If nothing else, Austin Butler proves once again that he is just one of the actors to look out for, especially when it comes to being in a leading role. As if Elvis didn't already prove that. If Caught Stealing is still playing in a theater near you, I definitely recommend it. It has a very interesting score from the band Idols. Idols being a punk band from the UK. I think my only gripe with the Caught Stealing, though, was like, from the Darren Aronofsky that I have watched, it doesn't really feel like a Darren Aronofsky film, which, I mean, could work to its detriment, but also could work to its benefit, depending on how it is you feel about the last few Darren Aronofsky releases. But also, it's just one of those times where if I didn't know who made this movie, I wouldn't have been able to guess it was Aronofsky. So the day after I watched Caught Stealing, I did a double feature of Splitsville and Twinless. Damn, 3.5 stars. Y'all are tripping. Splitsville being the Michelangelo Covino film starring Adria Arjona, Dakota Johnson, Kyle Marvin, as well as Michelangelo Covino. And I dug this a lot, actually. This is, like, to me, one of the best romantic comedies I've seen in a while. Just a very interesting film that tackles marriage in such an unconventional way. How messy it is, how we're willing to do just about anything to keep the person in our lives that we feel deep down that we deserve the least. It's just so chaotic, it's just so hilarious, and yeah, I gave this an instant 5 stars when I watched it. I just didn't feel otherwise or whatever, and to this day I still think it's a irrefutable highlight for the year. So yeah, definitely watch Splitsville if you can. I definitely enjoyed the hell out of it. I can't really say the same about Twinless though. Not that Twinless was bad by any stretch of the imagination. Twinless being the James Sweeney film starring himself as well as Dylan O'Brien. It's about, just having a twin and then your twin no longer being with you. A lot of the movie is about grieving, and yeah, it's interesting. I wouldn't really call this a dark comedy. I think it's like a tragic comedy of sorts, but more so in the vein of a tragedy than a comedy. If nothing else, Twinless proves that 2025 is definitely the year for dual roles, since Dylan O'Brien not just plays the main character in the movie, or one of the main characters in the movie, but also his twin. Say between this movie, Superman, The Monkey, Sinners, Mickey 17, and the Alto Knights, this is definitely the year for dual roles. I'm pretty sure there's probably a couple I'm not thinking of, but Also, apparently, Mia Goth plays dual roles in Frankenstein, but I haven't seen that movie yet. I wasn't privileged enough to go to Venice to go watch movies no one else is going to see yet. But yeah, no, Twinless was good. It's definitely nails the head on tackling grief in a lot of ways, tackling friendship, and just a lot of other themes. But I don't really see this being like a favorite by the end of the year, though. Still a solid movie nonetheless. So the movie I saw after that was The Long Walk. This is the Stephen King, technically Richard Bachman adaptation of the same name, starring David Johnson as well as Cooper Hoffman. If those two names sound familiar to you, that's because David Johnson kind of on a streak with all these like great roles, more or less. David Johnson, before this movie, also best known as Andy from Alien Romulus, who was in a lot of ways the best thing about the movie. Kind of coming in and doing the same thing with The Long Walk. I think he was absolutely spectacular in The Long Walk as McVrees. And of course, Cooper Hoffman was great in the movie too as Ray Garrity. Sorry, I just got out of the shower. But Cooper Hoffman, best known as the son of the late actor Philip Seymour Hoffman. He had made his acting debut in film with Licorice Pizza, which he was really good in. And he's been in a couple movies here and there after that. The one that sticks out in my mind the most is his supporting role in the Saturday Night Live movie called Saturday Night. So yeah, I was definitely impressed with Cooper Hoffman in this movie as well. If anything, I think this movie will continue to springboard the two of them into like more roles. They had like such great chemistry in The Long Walk. It's kind of impeccable. And I heard from the grapevine that there's supposed to be another movie coming out where the two of them are a duo that's coming out like next year. I think it's supposed to be like some kind of comedy. So yeah, I hope to see more Cooper Hoffman and David Johnson just really teaming it up in the future. Everything else about the movie was good. I'd say Mark Hamill was fine, even if I can't really escape that his voice reminds me of Skip's from Regular Show. But I think it had a pretty solid cast overall amongst like all the actors that played the Walkers. I think as far as it being an adaptation goes, it's kind of the usual sins as well as the usual like victories you would expect from adaptations. Stuff gets left out, stuff gets put in, stuff gets left in, and everything, and it just kind of gives you just something unique from the book. There is a part of me that kind of feels like I still prefer the book a little more than the movie, but there's also aspects of the movie that I think it nails so well, especially the brutality of all the deaths and everything, that is a little better than the book. I'm not going to go too deep into like all the similarities and differences between the source material and the movies, since I'm trying to not make this an hour-long video. But overall, yeah, I enjoyed The Long Walk. It definitely just was a solid film for the year. And the final movie I watched was Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba Infinity Castle. So let me just go ahead and get this out of the way. I am not someone that watches a shitload of anime, believe it or not. I like the classics. I like Pokemon, as you can see. I like playing Nintendo games. I watched quite a bit of Dragon Ball Z and Naruto, a fair bit of early One Piece, Yu Yu Hakusho. I remember there being that one like tennis anime that was really good, or at least I thought was really good. I liked Bo, okay. So as far as like the new anime like Demon Slayer, which has apparently became one of the biggest and most influential pieces of media in the world, I'm not really too familiar with it. I was invited to go see it with my girlfriend, so I wasn't gonna say no because 9 times out of 10, I'm not gonna say no to going to the movies. So just watching it as like a complete casual who literally had to find 3 or 4 recaps of the entire series to kind of have an idea of what's going on with this movie. I liked Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba, Infinity Castle. Okay, I thought it was pretty good. You can take my opinion on this with a grain of salt since, again, not a Demon Slayer guy. But I felt that there were points where the action felt a little too stalled. Like, I understand that anime does this thing where they're fighting and then there's like this internal monologue is like, what? He's dodging all of my attacks. Impossible. But there's like one moment, a spoiler alert by the way, if you don't want to be spoiled the movie if you haven't watched it yet, this is your warning now. But there's a point of the movie where they're fighting, I think he was the villain in the Mugen Train movie, and they chop his head off. You know, that's how you kill demons in the Demon Slayer franchise. You either cut the head off or expose them to the sun, and then they die. But they cut this dude's head off, and then the film spends like what feels like 45 minutes to an hour giving you this guy's entire life story before he became a demon. I was like, dude, just die, man. From what I understand, a lot of Demon Slayer is like that, so again, take my opinion with a grain of salt. But I just felt it was so jarring the moments where it does a phenomenal job with the action. It does a phenomenal job with like the just tense drama of like the fights that you would expect from anime. And the animation was just so phenomenal. Some of that shit looked real, like it wasn't even drawn. But that's where I felt the most perplexed by the movie, is the fact that it just would stall out of nowhere. I think I get that it was supposed to be this whole thing where you're supposed to understand that the villain, because he ended up going through a lot and was just suffered too much and was just, you know, too angry to die. But also it's like, why did this take an hour? But yeah, if you're a huge Demon Slayer fan and for some reason you have not watched this in theaters yet, definitely go watch it now. Also, this is supposed to be a 3-part movie conclusion to the entirety of Demon Slayer, before they probably just do a spin-off or something like they always do with anime. So yeah, my thoughts on that are, I'm hoping that the individual parts have some kind of unique identity to them instead of just being exactly like part 1 2 more times. So we'll see in the coming year or so. Low key, because of how sparse a lot of animated film has been this year, this could honestly be a contender for best animated picture. Like, I could see it going toe to toe with like K-pop, Demon Hunter movie, I haven't watched it yet, Elio, Dogman, and like probably Zootopia too. especially given how successful it's been. Yeah, that's all I got for now. I know I spent like 5 minutes talking about Demon Slayer after saying I know nothing about Demon Slayer. But yeah, those were all the films that I watched in the month of September. Again, I am going to be watching One Battle After Another on Monday, and I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be the only movie in theaters that I'm going to watch in September. And obviously, that's going to get its own video. That's going to get at least 2 or 3 videos next week. What movies did you catch that came out in September, or what movies did you catch in theaters in September, just in general? And that's all I got. If you like this video, go ahead and scroll down and hit the like button. If you got something to say about what I said about movies, especially if you didn't like my opinion on a Demon Slayer movie, go ahead and voice how you felt in the comments. And while you're there, consider hitting like and subscribe, or if you haven't liked already, consider hitting subscribe as well. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. This is your boy Chrysalis here, signing off.